Welcome to the Dillweed Society podcast. My name is Max, and my favorite movie is The Usual Suspects.
My name is Isabella, and my favorite movie is Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Hi, my name is Vera, and my favorite movie is National Treasure.
Welcome, Vera.
Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Alright, what are we talking about today?
This week we are talking about the movie RRR.
Otherwise known as RRR.
Or Rise, Roar, Revolt is what it
Rise,
actually
Roar,
stands
Revolt.
for.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it also had, like, multiple other
Yeah.
meanings.
The story,
The story,
the fire,
The water.
the water.
Was there another one?
the fire.
Really? Was it
Story,
the
fire, water? Were
that-
those the only three titles that we got with the R in it?
Those were the first three scenes.
And then the title went, because
then-
that was like 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, and then we got the full
title.
triple R.
Yeah.
And that's when the stage had been set
Yes.
and the real movie began.
Max, would you like to give a synopsis?
Sure. A fictional history of two legendary revolutionaries' journeys away from home before they began fighting for their country in the 1920s.
That's a quick summary.
I
It's a
know.
very, very
Like,
quick
there's-
summary.
For a 3-hour movie, 3 hours.
I mean, it's like inverse to Thor, which we talked about last week, and somehow had like probably like a whole paragraph somewhere,
Yeah.
and nothing happened that I can remember in that movie.
Yeah. Okay, what was everyone's initial thoughts? Because we literally just finished the movie.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts, midway thoughts, starting thoughts. You know, they were all the same. I loved it the whole way through.
It's an incredible movie.
Incredible.
And I'm not normally a person who likes action movies, which we didn't clarify is what this is.
True.
Well,
But it's also much more than that.
It's an action movie. It's a movie about friendship, brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a romance in it. It's a comedy. It's a musical. It's
I just feel
amazing.
like it hit every beat.
Yes.
You know, it was always on rhythm. When you it's like every plot point came exactly when it needed it to.
That's so true.
Yeah, I don't praise a lot of movies' pacing, but this one I really felt it. Like, we were 2 hours in, and I was like, no, I know what needs to happen next. Like, we're to the point where we understand who both of our main characters are, and we understand what needs to happen. And I'm like, I'm ready for this next hour. This last hour of the movie.
But it's not like they keep moving the goalpost either, which I think is really important when it comes to like a long movie with a long like quest that's being gone on. I have this like distinct memory of like this Will Smith, Jaden Smith movie where they land on Earth and it's like 1,000 years in the future, and they just keep like the quest just keeps getting prolonged.
Oh,
like,
right.
Things
Yeah.
just keep going wrong, and they just keep having to go on to the next thing, and it feels like it's exhausting to watch because you every time you think that they're about to accomplish something, it moves away from.
Yeah.
There
Whereas-
was like After Earth, the 2012 or 2011, I think. Yeah.
Right.
But this, by comparison, is like, yes, there are like missed opportunities, and like things don't go according to plan, but like the goal is always at the forefront of their minds. Like they all know what they need to do,
Yes.
and they're always working towards it.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much into spoilers here. And I think that if you like what you've heard so far, I would absolutely pause this podcast and watch the movie tonight, because something that I want to bring up, I'm going to pause for a second here, is that I think that the way that the audience is manipulated throughout the movie to not know the full story of what's going on makes the pacing better.
It
Yes.
I'm going to talk about it, but basically one of the main characters has a motivation which is unknown to the audience until about the end of the second act. Maybe about an hour and a half into the movie.
Yeah.
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 And in recontextualizing the entire movie, it makes that character much more understandable from an audience perspective, a much more positive character, and also sets up a bunch of new things, new ways that the story can develop. Like you said, creating new audience expectations and like keeping our minds running while the movie's going on so that it doesn't become stale.
because before that point, it's not told through that character's lens. It's told through the other main character's lens.
Yeah.
And so we're with him up until that point where we get that backstory. We don't understand the other characters' motivations or intentions the same way that our main guy, he doesn't understand the other characters' motivations or intentions.
Right.
But then they give him that backstory, and then it's a joint quest. Then we are on both of their teams. Then like they're both the protagonist rather than just one.
Yeah. I did wonder, starting out this movie, whether the audience was expected to see Ram, the deuteragonist of the movie, as a positive character, because he does take up the primary perspective for like a little bit of the introduction, that fighting scene, and it's sort of, it was unclear to me in that moment whether you were supposed to be rooting for him or not.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that, and it was really confusing to like think about like what message they were trying to go for before we knew what his actual motivations were.
Yeah.
Which fight scene was this with
The
Ron?
first one. Yeah, the first one where he jumps over the fence.
He wades into that crowd.
And he, like, kills a bunch of
yeah.
civilians.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a bit weird. He's, like, the one British soldier that's courageous enough to go into the crowd, the angry mob, but he's also not British. Right? And I don't know, there's just, you get really thrown into it.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about the setting of this more. It's a movie that is set in India, in the 1920s, like it said, during the British occupation. It's all centered around the like tyranny of the British occupation over the Indian people, and the way that like they are controlling them through force. And at the beginning of the movie there was this statement, you guys remember it? It was 3 hours ago, so I don't blame you if you didn't, but it was like none of the characters in this movie are meant to represent real people.
Yeah,
or like
they gave a
cultures.
disclaimer at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah, and I think about that, like, clearly the movie has a message, like a cultural, social message, and so I wonder why they felt the need to say that.
Well, partially it might be legal reasons, but
yeah, maybe.
I know that other franchises avoid defamation by doing similar things.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the themes are very explicit, right?
Yeah.
We're not really left guessing who the bad guy is.
When the end is like shooting the like local monarch in the heart.
Oh, I mean, it's such satisfying justice, though.
Yeah.
It is, because he's been torturing people throughout the whole movie, stealing children throughout the whole movie. He totally deserves it. Yeah. And
I feel like this is a movie that isn't afraid to go with the retributive justice. You know, like, the people that do bad things, we're killing them. Like, we're killing them. So that was also very refreshing. The main characters, they're not like, oh, now's the time to show mercy. Like, they know when to kill people.
Yeah.
It would have been such a cop-out if they chose to spare him. I'm so glad that they didn't. And I think that if this were made by Marvel, there would be a lot less killing involved. There would be a lot more
well, they'd have to disintegrate, right?
They would yeah, right. Yeah, I guess because we've seen those two, because it's the summer and there's only Marvel movies coming out right now, I find myself comparing this to superhero movies, because in some ways the two main characters, Beam and Rom, they're both...
they're heroic. They're
superheroes.
Like
they're superhuman.
Yeah.
But they're superhuman, and the movie maintains consequences through that. Maintains that if they get punched in the face, they bleed. That made the movie feel so much more important, like real, emotional.
There are multiple points in the movie where the characters express, "I'll die for this cause." Right? They're not invincible.
Right.
Yes.
And they get injured, they get disabled, they prevail, but you never know what's going to happen next. And they have superhuman strength, right? In many, many awesome fight scenes.
Yes.
But they can still get injured. I don't know. It does feel like, compared to other superhero movies, the stakes are more real because they are still human. They're not. They're not granted godlike abilities that can only be trumped by other creatures with godlike abilities that happen to, be mutated or.
Right. And their humanity makes them more heroic.
It does, because the stakes are more real. They're like, what's on the line is like their families, their loved ones, like the connections they have to each other. That's what they're fighting for. Right. Ram, he's fighting for his fiance, soon-to-be wife, and he's also fighting for his tribe, all the people that he has back home, and that's paralleled with Beam, who also is fighting for his tribe. He's on a mission to save...
Yeah, Mali.
So there's that camaraderie, which I felt was so strong, because especially when they first meet each other and they befriend each other.
Yeah.
It's very I thought that there was a lot of like Christian imagery in some parts of this movie. Specifically with what we're talking about their humanity being making the heroism greater. There's those scenes where he's like being whipped by the local government, being like hanged in the middle of the forest. I thought that was like, it seemed, if not intentional, definitely something you could read into this movie, and their willingness to die for the cause, and the way that makes their sacrifice even greater. I think that all of that is like, could be read as relating to the New Testament of the Bible.
And like crucifixion specifically?
Crucifixion specifically.
Okay. Well, to me, the most poignant part about that, like, flailing scene was, like, him, like, his spirit was what couldn't be crushed, right? They had him going through all these crazy tortures, and then the British lady, like, whips out, like, an even more grotesque torture device.
Yeah.
And is like, go ahead and use this. But it can't break his indomitable spirit. And,
exactly.
You know, I know that, like, there's a parallel, I guess, but, you know, Jesus does die.
Yeah.
This guy, he didn't die.
He didn't die.
He prevailed. I don't know. Not to say that Jesus doesn't prevail, but...
Yeah, just, I think that...
In a different way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not saying that it's like an allegory for Jesus. I just think that there's like similarities there.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus does also get whipped and flogged.
And yeah, in public, and then also like brought out to the middle of nowhere to be hung up to die. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it was like, maybe you're just saying that you can like read that within the text, but I feel like maybe that's just an overarching similarity among like most religions, is the aspect of sacrifice and like justice and prevailing. I don't know.
Yeah, being a martyr for a cause is a very powerful archetype, and they employ it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, it's not entirely to say that to pick a religion which it is like influenced by, and to say that that's Christianity would be very silly, having seen the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Max, I don't know if you want to say that.
I think what I said was clear. The last third of the movie, there's a scene in the middle of the movie where they go to pray at a sculpture of Rama the god, and at the end of the movie that shoe gets dropped, and they take his bow and arrows, and the character Ram from the movie becomes an avatar of the god Rama. And I don't know, it was very epic, very cool.
Very, very epic. The way that he emerges from the flames with the bow in hand, and his legs have been healed as he is embodying the avatar, it was such a powerful moment in the film. And then the superhuman ability he gains to fight off his oppressors in that moment. Spot on.
Mm-hmm.
But the religious themes crop up even earlier than that, actually. I noticed it first when Ram was being tortured. And he talks about his non-attachment to the outcome of his mission, and that he is channeling his purpose at all times. He's always working towards his purpose, regardless of the result. And the Brits don't understand at all.
Right.
But it very much echoed like the Gita and
like,
other.
He embodies sattva.
Very much so.
Right.
Very sattvic.
He's able to to work towards something and not to be discouraged by failure. And that's what makes him so powerful.
Yeah, because he is saved by Beam, but he had no way of knowing that was going to happen.
No.
And he wouldn't be mentally prepared had he not been training, doing pull-up bars in the in the prison. So that strength of character, I don't know. I found it pretty inspiring, to be honest.
Yeah.
It gives me courage to be more dedicated and more disciplined in my own life.
Yeah.
Just seeing people go through such epic stories, you know?
It also recontextualizes the first half, in which he seems so heartless. When you realize that all of that was because... You know, I was thinking towards the end, like, Beam is apologizing so profusely for leaving Ram for dead, when Ram almost, like, objectively has done much worse to Beam in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, he doesn't apologize because how strong his will is and how single-minded he is on his goal of liberating the people of India from British rule. But yeah, it makes him seem very heartless in comparison. And I guess that gets at how the two main characters, like they say in like the soundtrack, are opposites of each other.
Yeah.
Like one of them is very in touch with his emotions.
What were the two words they used? It was like destiny and fearlessness, or
a wolf and a tiger.
Lion. Something?
Wolf and a lion.
You know, wolf and a lion, motorcycle and a horse,
destiny,
fire and water.
Like they're very similar, but they each complement each other, and they're different within their own, like, similarity.
And that comes together at the end too, when they literally become one man. You know, literally.
It gets me every time.
It's crazy, like just how creative the writing and like the choreography is. It all works so well with the story, and it's so well thought out.
The choreography was very creative. I think especially during the fight scenes, the things that they would come up with, I could be playing D&D and I wouldn't even think of it.
Yeah.
When they become one man is when he's being rescued from prison, and Ram, his legs have been broken, and so he hops on Beam's back and they parade around with one pair of legs and one pair of arms, and just... It's like 3 kids in a trench coat. It was amazing.
He puts the guns down, and then Beam uses his hands to reload them.
To reload the guns! Oh my god. Like, I don't know how long each of those fight sequences were, but they were just so packed full of, like, amazing cinematography and, like, amazing action and fighting. It just makes me feel bad for all the other action movies. I'm like, you guys need to do better.
I think back to any American action movie I've seen, and it just doesn't really compare. Like, a Transformers movie will never have those highs or lows.
Yeah.
No. It's funnier, it's more dramatic. it's more action-y. It's like more exciting in the action sequences.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not about who has the bigger gun. The British people have the bigger gun the whole time, and it doesn't matter because they're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gets us to the like technical aspects of this movie, to like the boring ways of analyzing a movie that we haven't talked about yet, but are also unmatched. Mm-hmm. Like you mentioned the cinematography in the fight scenes, but the cinematography throughout the movie
Yeah.
is so good.
The slow-mo shots.
The slow-mo shots are fun.
Yeah.
The lighting was beautiful. The image was very crisp. I mean, I know that's not a very objective metric, but the whole movie was very beautiful.
The color grading was there was never like an off scene. Like it was all very, it had a good dynamic contrast. You know, it was
Forkable.
It was forkable. It was very forkable.
I looked up the estimated budget for this movie because I was very curious.
Yeah.
And it's 3.5 billion rupees, which kind of translates to 44 million American dollars.
Wow.
Which is...
It's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
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 Given the budget, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the average Marvel movie is like 5 times that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's like 250 something million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just amazing.
Okay, wait, can we talk about the dancing? 'Cause
Yes.
I loved the
Oh
dancing.
my god.
That's where the choreography shined. I mean,
Yeah,
the choreography
literally.
shined in the fight scenes, but it really came out in the dancing scenes.
Oh my god. It's just so fun. Like, it's such a, like, light way to, like, progress the plot, but also give you a scene that's just, like, gonna make you smile.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so fun. I don't know what else to call it.
I know, I'm not usually, like, a montage fan, or, like, let's just, like, have a bunch of back-to-back shots of them bonding, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't usually do it for me, but it did it for me.
Yeah.
the way that they set it up, you know, they bond a bunch, and then they dance together, and who doesn't like a good dance? Because the British guy's being all snobby,
Yeah.
and then they're like, you don't know how to really dance.
Yeah, you don't have to really dance.
Everyone gets involved. It becomes a party.
Yeah.
Made me want to dance.
Literally, I was about to say that. I was like, I wanted to jump up.
Their friendship is one of the like more well-developed ones that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a very pure friendship between two people who clearly enjoy being around each other.
Yeah.
And the acting, I guess...
Still would have been better if they kissed at the end.
I agree with that. I was like, oh yeah, we got a case of the not gays where they have to like push them off to have girlfriends at the end because the relationship with Beam is very underdeveloped, let's be honest. There's like 3 scenes.
That's true. He doesn't have a prior attachment to the British lady. They just kind of hit off, and then he kind of uses her to get to Molly. So I don't know if it was like, I don't know.
It's hard for me to imagine that she would still like him after watching him perform like a mass terrorist event.
No,
she was
but
dancing with him.
He did
end.
like kill like all of her colleagues.
But yeah, it was a little bit of the not gays situation.
One thing I did notice was that in the ending dance sequence, which was beautiful unto itself, was that his British girlfriend, Beam's British girlfriend, she speaks Telugu or Hindi in the final dance sequence.
Yeah,
at least for one scene, which I thought was interesting. I guess that kind of symbolized that she joined their ranks, right? She's not a Brit anymore.
I guess so.
Sure, because there's this thing throughout the movie where people who are of high class are wearing British clothes, like where Ram is wearing British clothes while he's a British officer throughout the whole movie, and Beam is always wearing Indian clothing.
Well, at one point he's actually wearing Muslim clothing because he was disguised as a Muslim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Originally.
The music was really good too.
The music was so good.
I liked that they had subtitles on the music, because, you know, I think that it would have been cool to like listen to such operatic music with words that you could actually understand, and I'm glad that I got like some experience of that.
There was also a lot of good chanting music. I don't know what the name for it is. I've heard it like sampled before, but I hadn't heard it just kind of on its own. It's very cool. It definitely, I feel like they used the chanting a lot to preface the fights.
Yeah.
Like they would use it as a way of like building momentum, and I think it really worked. For me, at least, I definitely felt like the momentum kept building, and then fight was like, going full speed.
Mm-hmm. Momentum's a great word for that, because like the soundtrack and like the whole plot line is gaining momentum throughout and there's like dips in it, right? But then it's all building towards the end when they've like experienced all the struggles that they've experienced, and they're pushing all of that towards the final ending fight, and it's just so epic. I don't know.
Right. It's so epic. It feels karmic. It feels like predetermined, right? Like one scene that really did that for me was when Beam meets Sita, like Ram's fiance, where it's like he was hiding there because of the forces hunting him, because Ram chose to save him, right? So like by Ram saving him, Beam is escaping, and now the forces are closing in, and it's through all of that happening that he meets Sita, and then she tells him the information that leads Beam to go save Ram. Like it's all like interconnected and like so satisfying.
Yeah. No loose ends.
It's like it had to turn out that way.
Yeah.
I was very prepared for it to end and Beam had saved Ram, and they were like, fine, we're both safe. And then they just dropped the plot line about like bringing weaponry to the people. And I'm so glad that it didn't do that, because I thought that it paid off all of the goals that were set up throughout the movie, even the ones that seemed like they were impossible.
Yeah, I was prepared for one or both of them to die at the end. And I'm really glad that because I feel like that's a common thing in movies nowadays, where you just, like, you have to have one of the main characters die to have that impact. But I'm really happy that none of them did, because I feel like it gave a better ending. It felt, there was more closure. And the fact that they, within, like, the film itself, were like, this is fictionalized. Even in the synopsis that you read, they were like, this is too fictional, like a friendship or whatever. It just felt very powerful to have them both survive at the end and have the great ending credit sequence. It felt amazing.
It was a worthy triumph.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was the triumph we deserved. And that they deserved, because they work so hard. The song he sings while he's being whipped, where he's like, I won't give in to like an unjust power structure, is basically what he's singing throughout the song. And like they just prevail through the unjust power structure. They destroy it, which is like, I wish that's like how history went all the time,
It's inspiring.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how exceptional this film is in like all of the negative things that you might think about it, based on the time that it takes to like watch, based on the fact that it's an
not
action
The Godfather
movie.
is what I'm gonna say.
It's not The Godfather. It's not Michael Bay.
It's not The Irishman.
It supersedes any like negative stereotypes about how long such a movie, like an action movie, could be. It's not like The Fast and the Furious even, which is a good series but which can grate on some people. I think that it's just a really good movie.
I will say I was wary of it because of the runtime, and because I usually have a hard time sitting through long movies, but like I mentioned earlier, the pacing just works so well. And like there was one scene, did I mention the snake scene yet?
No.
Oh no, you haven't talked about it.
It was like after the snake scene, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
After the snake scene, I was like fully on board. Before that, I was like a little wary, which given was like 40 minutes into the movie, but if you get past a certain point, you're fully in it. No matter, like, I couldn't even try not to be in it. Like, it's so, it just takes you. Yeah.
Why was the snake scene so impactful for you?
I think because it was like the first real stakes where it was like he could actually die.
Yeah.
He was near death, and wasn't that scene when
Yeah, when Beam gives Ram his necklace.
And he realizes they realize who each other are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ram realizes who Beam is. I don't know if Beam
that's
realizes who Ram is at that point.
That's a good point, yeah. But then it's like, what is Ram gonna do? Because they're such close friends. And in that moment, he's like, I would give anything for our friendship. And it's in that moment when he realizes
because
who he is.
Beam says to Rom, and Rom is incapacitated from the poison, and Beam goes, even if I die on my mission, our friendship is more valuable than my life.
Yes.
Which is like, wow. What a thing to say to someone.
I know.
Right.
And you think that it's not true about Rom, that Rom doesn't feel the same way, but in fact it is.
Yeah.
It's because he values both their friendship and the freedom of his people more than his own life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're aligned in their values and their goals, but they don't know it for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, it is so refreshing to experience nationalism for a different nation.
Truly.
So true. Would you give this a rating out of 5 stars?
Out of 5 stars, it's 5 stars for me. It's not that I'm easy to please. I've seen not as many movies as you guys, to be fair, but it checked all the boxes for me. I don't know. I wouldn't change it, is what I would say. And that's my metric for a good movie, is the pacing was great, the choreography was great, the music and the dancing scenes, it was joyous, it was triumphant, it was an epic tale, and I think it's a very underrepresented genre. We need more epic tales. I felt like I was reading the Odyssey in real time, and I have not had that experience in a movie before, so 5 stars for me.
Should I go next?
You should go next.
I also gave it 5 stars. I already logged it on Letterboxd, but it was, like you said, like it's perfect. Like it's everything that I could ever want in a movie.
I guess that just leaves me.
Mm-hmm.
And I will also give it 5 stars.
Wow.
This is a first in Dillweed Film Society podcast history that not only one of us have given it 5 stars, but all 3 of us have given it 5 stars. I can't say it better than either of you guys, because what you said was just correct. I would totally recommend it to anyone else. I would watch it again with another friend of mine, tonight or tomorrow. I just think that it's really groundbreaking in a lot of ways, and it's a very special and unique movie.
I really hope to see more. I really hope that they recognize this at the Oscars. Honestly, I'm saying it now, I could see it winning Best Picture. Not even gonna lie.
Yeah.
So, I just wish it the best.
It has...
I hope it gets the recognition it deserves.
Well, if that isn't enough of a recommendation...
From the most esteemed film society in America, in the world.
Yeah. Well, watch RRR on Netflix whenever you get the chance, please. Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop in and remind you all that our website, which is linked in the description, is constantly being updated with new movies and new information. If you want to vote in this year's upcoming Dillies, we have a form that you can fill out there. You can also check out our archive as well as our formal rules and regulations. And please feel free to reach out to us with any suggestions or inquiries. We are responsive through email and also Instagram messaging. I also want to encourage you to share the pod or our website with any of your film friends. We'd love to have anyone and everyone participate and vote in this year's awards. All right, back to this week's episode. Now we're going to get into our recommendation section, where we recommend a movie to you all or some other form of media.
Yeah. So... in my long-running venture, over 3 episodes so far where I haven't had any new movies to recommend, I have found a movie which I have seen this year that I can recommend. That movie is called Cha-Cha Real Smooth. It is a coming-of-age movie about a man who just got home from college and gets a job DJing for and emceeing for bar mitzvahs. It's directed and starring Cooper Raiff. It also stars Dakota Johnson, both of whom have pretty good performances in this. I think that it is an interesting movie to watch, especially for people who remember the experience of getting out of college and not really knowing what to do. It's a good movie. I would recommend it.
I'm gonna recommend a TV show, because I don't have any movies, I think, this week that I can recommend. It's a 2022 TV show on Hulu called The Bear, and maybe you've heard of it. It's really popular right now, but it's about a chef in Chicago who's running a sandwich joint, and it's only like 8 episodes. You can watch it pretty much in one go. It's got really amazing characters, and the story is fun, so I recommend The Bear.
I would recommend MFKZ. I think it's pronounced Motherfuckers. And it is an animated movie on Netflix with a really interesting cast, with a lot of zany, wacky characters that show up in the movie. The choreography is really cool, and they get up to a bunch of stuff, and I just found it very entertaining.
Awesome.
Nice. And you can watch Cha Cha Real Smooth on Apple TV.
Yes.
You can watch The Bear on FX.
And Hulu.
And Hulu. And where can you watch MFKZ?
Netflix.
Awesome.
All right. All the links will be in the description if you want to learn more about us and the Dillweed Society. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Vera, for coming on the pod.
Thank you so much for having me, Senpai.
Our pleasure.